I just talked to a type 1 diabetic who will be off of insulin for 1 year this coming August, all thanks to this molecule called tegoprubart. If you've been watching my videos that I've been making, then you know that I've been talking about a lot of really exciting research going on in the field of type 1 diabetes, but I want you to pay special attention to this one. If you have not already joined my Facebook group called Crushing T1 here, please go and join it, either during or after this video. That is where I bring all of the breaking news for type 1 diabetes research. I recently talked about Sana's breakthrough where they were able to genetically modify some cells so that the human immune system could not recognize them. This trial is extremely exciting because it does not require any immunosuppression, but it is going to take some time to work through the trial. Sana also needs to figure out how to scale their cell production so that they could treat thousands and millions of people. What they accomplished was absolutely incredible. You can see right here those cells that are still in that patient's forearm 4 months later, still producing insulin. I am only going to talk about things that could potentially cure type 1 diabetes in the near future. There's so much fluff out there, and if I wanted to, I could probably post an article every day about type 1 diabetes being cured, but the only things I talk about are things that could actually cure my child in the not too distant future. Those are the only things that you will ever hear come out of my mouth. In another video, I talked about how Vertex is working on their VX-880 trial, and as of right now, they have 9 patients that are no longer taking insulin. I want to bring your attention to a really important part of their slide over on this side. It says right here that they are working on alternative immunosuppression regimens. Vertex hasn't announced anything officially yet, but they have made a lot of strong hints in this direction, and I think I know what they're getting at. Now, before I go on, I don't know any of this for sure, but I am pretty sure that they are looking at this drug that I'm about to talk about right now. Let's talk about islet cell transplants for a minute. In the United States, you cannot get an islet cell transplant because the FDA has not approved it as a therapy. It's approved in many other countries though. When you receive an islet cell transplant, you have to be put on immunosuppression medication. That medication, for the last several decades, has been a drug called tacrolimus. Tacrolimus is a calcineurin inhibitor. That's the drug class it is. And it's a really terrible drug. Tacrolimus has some really nasty side effects that include nephrotoxicity, neurotoxicity, diabetes, hypertension, and over time, it eventually leads to graft failure for the majority of patients. I'm talking about islet cell transplants, kidney transplants, liver transplants. It is just not a great drug, but it's the best we have right now, and it has been the standard of care for decades. And isn't that just a terrible thing? In order to keep these organs and cells alive, they basically have to be poisoned by this terrible drug from the very beginning. It seems very counterintuitive, doesn't it? Now enter tegoprubart. Here we have 2 immune cells communicating with each other using these receptors. Watch what happens when you give someone tegoprubart. This molecule is a CD40 ligand inhibitor, so it gets in between these receptors and prevents them from communicating with each other, and it prevents T and B cell activation. It prevents that whole cascade of the immune system from beginning that eventually leads to the destruction of the beta cell that produces insulin, or other foreign organs like a kidney that have been put inside somebody. You might have missed this in the news, but this past October, about 6 months ago, there were 3 type 1 diabetics that were given islet cell transplants using this new, cleaner immunosuppressant drug called tegoprubart. Tegoprubart has not shown any of those nasty side effects to occur when it's given to these patients. Just in case you missed it, here's some of the news articles that came out last October. This one is from ABC, Good Morning America. This one is from Time Magazine. This one is from Yahoo News. This one is from Presswire. This one is from our very own Breakthrough T1D. This is from diabetesresearch.org, and this one is from Daily Mail. This is one of the 3 patients right as she was being rolled back to the interventional radiology suite right before her islet cell transplant. Here she is again. And here she is with Dr. Piotr Witkowski out of Chicago, who is the one conducting this study. Dr. Witkowski is a wonderful, wonderful person. I've spoken with him on the phone. He is one of the greatest human beings on this planet. He's devoted his entire life to curing type 1 diabetes. So I want to come back to this slide. This is Vertex's presentation talking about their 9 patients that are no longer on insulin. These 9 patients are taking tacrolimus, the horrible drug. And this new drug, tegoprubart, is a clean immunosuppressant that so far has not shown any significant side effects. And look back here, the alternative immunosuppression regimens. What else could they be talking about? I think we know exactly what they're talking about. What does that mean for us exactly? Well, Vertex has announced that they are right now completing the pivotal trial of VX-880. You can see right here that they will be submitting for FDA approval next year, 2026, after these patients achieve at least 1 year of insulin-free follow-up. So there's still a little bit of time left before they can submit for FDA approval for VX-880. But what comes next? What comes next? I think we know what's coming next. The patients that are going to be eligible for this first potential therapy that Vertex is going to hopefully submit for FDA approval next year, these patients are already taking immunosuppression. They're already taking the horrible drug tacrolimus, and the other criteria is frequent low blood sugars. We don't know the specifics exactly of the criteria they're looking for there, but we just know that those are the only 2 things that are going to potentially qualify someone for this first therapy. What I believe is going on right now is that Vertex has taken notice of how well these first 3 patients have done on the Eledon trial, and they are potentially looking at using this drug down the road with their stem cell line. That could potentially, and in my opinion very likely, open up this cure for type 1 diabetes to many more people than just people taking immunosuppression or people who suffer from frequent low blood sugars. I am going to make a part 2 to this video because this has been very long. Thanks for sticking with me. But I'm going to explain exactly how tegoprubart works. I'm going to show you all the data from these first 3 patients, and trust me, you're going to want to see it. So find my next video. You're going to love it.